Okay, recording. Go ahead, Zaya.
Sorry, my Wi-Fi cut out at that same time too. Okay. So my question was, how do I add a border to my page, like a complete border surrounding all the code?
I would not recommend doing that, but I can show you how to do that. Um, it doesn't.
Okay.
There are design standards, and Bootstrap is capable of doing that. However, based on modern web development, web design, that is not recommended. But I can show you how to do
Okay.
it. So,
It's
I am going to go through basically what we did last week, and you can follow along, share your screen. I evidently everyone can share their screens now, so hopefully that works. Go ahead and share your screens if you want. Um, I'm gonna. How many of you who were not here watched the video from last week? Raise your hand.
I got through part of it, but I wasn't able to make it all the way through.
Yeah, I'm kind of boring that way, so I'm gonna try to step it up a notch or two. I'm gonna start pretty much from the beginning and go through that. So share screen. Yeah, actually, did you know that there's kind of like it's what is it? There's some sort of like betting pool going on in just the general like university community of like uh, is the professor going or not going to say I'm going to share my screen now? I'm not sure. I think it's hilarious, but evidently like no one can share their screen without actually saying I am sharing my screen or something like that. So that said, that's a joke. Okay. So we're going to start with here. Go to a directory of your choice that you want to work on stuff and do shift right click. When you do so, you can open up PowerShell. There's going to be a thing. Oh, shut up. Meeting controls, Control Shift H. Had that problem several times. Okay. So when you do that, you can view the PowerShell window, which we will be using a bunch. And in that, you type in code and then space period, hit enter, and we'll open Visual Studio Code if you have installed it properly. Then you can exit out of there. And then you have your Visual Studio Code. I'm going to close out of here. And then I'm going to make a new file. That's these things. You can create a new file, a new directory. You can refresh your Explorer or collapse everything in your Explorer. Okay, and then I'm going to do index.html. Okay. And from here, something that's really cool about Visual Studio Code is that when you do an exclamation point, it's going to show you everything. However, in answer to what's his name, David's question that he had about halfway through the course, there about are there JS docs but for HTML? The answer is yes. So I'm going to have everyone go to this extension. So we had everyone download a couple extensions. There's going to be a couple more we're going to download. So you go to here, extensions. I want you to download Bootstrap snippets. Go to there and look and find Bootstrap snippets 5. And you may need to say 5 on there. And where are you? Or Bootstrap 5 snippets. That may be it. There we go. Yeah, Bootstrap 5 snippets for Visual Studio Code. I'm just gonna wait. That's not the right one. There it is. Here we are. Bootstrap 5 quick snippets. Download this specific one, and it is by and something Rocky. There are 121,600 downloads. Install that one, and when you do so, you can type in $ or BS5 hyphen $ and hit enter. Oh, son of a gun. BS5 $, hit enter. It will create your HTML file with the scripts, both scripts, Popper and Bootstrap, which I'll explain Popper in a little while. And it'll bring in the style sheet exactly where they need to be, which is really cool. It'll also put some cool, good comments in your code. It is always good to comment your HTML, your JavaScript, everything. Just put comments in your code. So this already has that for you, okay? And it'll highlight title for you. So I'm going to call this Tator Web Dev, exclamation point. Okay, and I'm going to save that. Now, make sure that you have live server. Oops, live server downloaded or installed. Okay, that's this guy. And when you have that installed, you can go to your file, your index, any index.h or any HTML file. Make sure it has the HTML extension. Otherwise, your computer won't know what's going on. Like, you can't open a WAV file with a PNG extension. The computer will try to open it as a PNG, and it's not the right format, and it'll go like, this is corrupted, when it's just not the right format. So, you can open it in a live server by right-clicking, and if you find Open with Live Server, you click on that, and it'll open it using your preferred browser. Okay, and so you can see this is Tator Web Dev, and that's the title that I changed in the thingy. All right, cool. Matthew on Discord. No problem. Cool. So I'm going to minimize that, and I'm going to go back to my HTML. So a little bit about HTML is it works in blocks. Okay, so you have a block. Actually, I shouldn't say block. I should say tag or box. Okay, so a tag is like a div, or you can have a tag called P, or a tag called span, or a tag called H1. Okay, all of those are different tags. And notice how every single one of them have an open and a close, and everything is inside of another. So this div is inside of the body, which is inside of this HTML tag, which is the full outer one. This doc type thing just tells the browser, hey, this is an HTML file. That's all that really means. But we're going to go back to here. So there are a couple different types of text, and you can follow along. You can share your screen, do whatever you want. You can create text. H1 is a really large header. Okay. H2. So I'm going to H1. And then for each of the silly ducks, Control Alt Shift H. Okay. Control C. V, 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 V. Okay. H1. Actually, I'm not going to do that. H2. H2. H3. 3. H3. So on and so forth. You can do that all you want. And if I save it, what's really cool about the browser or the live server is if I save the file in Visual Studio Code, watch what happens. Actually, I'm going to make sure that's correct. Okay, Control S. Hey, that's all saved. And one thing that's cool about Bootstrap is it automatically formats. If I get rid of the style sheet and the scripts by commenting it out, oh, I hate you. Okay, and I save. It resorts back to this font, which objectively, like all like colleges are like, hey, Times New Roman is amazing, but actually it's honestly a really bad font because it has serif, which means it has those little tags at the top and bottom of things, which are bad for dyslexia. So Bootstrap has been like, hey, we're gonna get rid of that serif, and so it's called sans serif font. I think its default is Roboto. I don't 100% know, but that's what that is. That's why it changes font. Everything in Bootstrap is designed to make it look nice for you and the user. Okay. If you are, I just want to take a quick break. How is everyone doing on what I just reviewed? Any questions?
I have many questions.
What?
You go first, Nate.
What was the command you used to comment stuff quickly?
Oh, control, comma. I mean, sorry, not comma. Control question mark.
Cool.
Or control /, either or. I mean, they're the same button. I just say control question mark because it's easier than saying control /. It's like going back and forth in your mouth. It's weird. Okay, Sandra, dang it.
When you said the open and live server thing, mine doesn't do that. I think because I'm missing some stuff from last week or something.
So does your HTML file look like this? Question 1.
Nope.
Okay, so you're missing that. So I'm gonna delete everything. Okay.
Oh. Okay.
I'm just gonna start from the very beginning. Okay. And if you have that Bootstrap code snippet thing, you can go BS5 with the $sign.
Oh wait. Okay. No, I see this now. Okay.
And then press enter. And if you have the automatic code thingy, you can notice how all those errors and stuff with the indent rainbow thingy, I am going to save and it automatically formats it to look nice. So that's, if you look up HTML, CSS, that's this thing. Nope, not that one. Form, stupid, this thing. That's this thing, that's the formatter. JS, CSS, HTML formatter, and also indent rainbow. Makes your code look like a rainbow. So both of those are quite useful, and that creates those little highlights. Okay, so now that you understand the basic concept of tags and you understand the basic concept of an HTML, let's go through basics of Bootstrap. Okay, so I'm going to do some shorthands with Visual Studio Code. So I'm going to first create a container, saying .container, which is creating a class, a div with a class name of container. Okay, and when I do that, Bootstrap is going to read, hey, that's a container. That's a specific type of thing for Bootstrap's thing, and so it's gonna. That's just Bootstrap. This is container is Bootstrap. Okay, and then I'm going to create a row by going .row. Then I'm going to create a column .col column, and then I'm going to put some content. I'm going to say h1 content exclamation point, and then I'm going to copy and paste this column a couple times. I'm going to save. And I'm going to look at my live server, which seems to have some problem with it. I'm going to close out of that and redo my live server. Open with live server. There we go. All right. Content, content, content. So notice how it created, if I go to inspect, notice how it created, I'm going to get rid of that console there, or exit out of that because that's annoying. It created a container, and if you do a container, it will have everything in the center-ish. It'll have padding on the sides, okay? If I do container fluid, container-fluid, it'll span the entire width of the screen. So that's just some terminology for Bootstrap specifically, okay? You have a row, and then you have columns, and then in those, if I highlight or hover over them, you can see which column is pertaining to what. So here's a little bit more on Bootstrap. So Bootstrap has a couple different sizes. It has extra small, small, stop it, small, medium, stop it, medium. This is BS code snippets. It's doing that. And then it has large, LG, and then extra large. So these are 5 different sizes of screens that Bootstrap has pre-programmed or preset. This is like extra large is like 1200 pixels, and like large is I'm pulling these somewhere, so I don't exactly know. You can look it up what the exact pixel size is, and that has to do with the width of the screen specifically. Okay, and so with the what those mean is you can create different what are called breakpoints in your columns. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of all of this stuff. Okay, and I'm going to say column small 12. Okay, so what that means is when the screen is small, it's going to this column is going to be 12 units wide, and the Bootstrap grid system is based on 12 columns, which is a highly composite number in anything like based from 1 to 20, meaning it can be divisible by 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. And so it's quite, well, 1, 2, 3, and 4, which means you can have all sorts of really cool things. Also 6, that's true. But yeah, that's 2 and 6. I just left out everything else. Okay. So this means that it's going to span the whole screen when the screen is small. But I can say column medium 6. When the screen is really medium size, it'll span 6. And if I do call large LG span 3. Okay, and I save that. Save it. Come on. Notice how it's spanning, I don't know how many it's spanning, but it's spanning like one. I'm gonna copy this whole thing. Sorry, copy the column. I'm gonna CVVVV. so you can see what's going on. Okay. Now, this is a large screen. Notice how these are spanning 3 because 4 times 3 is 12. So 3, 3, 3, 3. And then I'm going to make it, well, they're spanning 1. I'm going to make it spanning 2. So 6. It's spanning 6 columns. So there are 2 total columns. And it wraps, which is really cool. And then you can make it even smaller, which then it spans the full width of the screen, or 12 columns. So that's what, when you see this stuff, that's what that means. You can also like say order small 1, and you can say 1, content 1. Now when it's a small screen, or I don't know, there's a, I don't know exactly how to do that, but there's a thing you can do that you can reorder stuff based on the classes, which I don't really understand how it works, but it works if you know how to do it right, which evidently I don't. So anyway, that's quick Bootstrap grid system. That's the basics of the Bootstrap grid system. Now that that has been covered, I would like to visit everyone's HTML files that you have been building, and I want to take a look at them. There is a question in the chat, I think. Oh, Zaya's leaving. Thank you, Zaya. Take care. Have a good rest of your day. Yeah, let me, I want to take a look at your HTML files. And as, yeah, someone go. I'm going to stop sharing. Anyone?
I'll go.
Okay, Zaya, go ahead. Share your screen.
Okay. Oh, but I guess I have a little bit more time. Okay, so can you see my screen?
No, we can't. I'm going to turn off 2 cameras to make it so you are better on your Wi-Fi. There we go.
It's unstable. Okay.
In your HTML file, do Alt-Z. That'll wrap everything so it's all readable regardless of your screen size.
Great.
Yeah, I'm going to stop your screen share.
Okay.
Or I don't know how to do that. I'm going to share my screen. That'll stop it. No, it won't. Okay. Well, that's unfortunate that his Wi-Fi doesn't quite let him. Sorry, Zaya. Appreciate
It's
you
okay.
trying.
Thank you, class.
Anyone else want to go? You can turn on your cameras again. I just turned it off to for bandwidth sake. Anyone else want to go?
Sure. I mean, mine's already linked inside the chat, so why not?
Yep.
And I'm not going to say that I'm going to share my screen. I'm just going to share it.
You just
to spite
lied.
you. Oh, well, okay, I lied.
All right.
So yeah, this is just a basic website. There's like a how to install button that like goes to a Microsoft page of downloading Edge, but I can't
Why
actually click on it.
Microsoft Edge is actually better than Chrome.
And then
This
like
is
there's
in
just a
reference
simple
to
accordion.
the last class where I made fun of him for using Microsoft Edge.
So yeah, and then there's just like a simple table of contents type thing.
Could you explain to us how that works?
Well, basically, I just copy pasted the code from this button and shoved it over here.
Where did you copy it from?
So I took this from Bootstrap.
Where's that?
That I took, well, just like online, the Bootstrap docs.
So there were 2 people who were not here at the last class.
Okay.
Could you explain what you mean by that?
Basically, since we're using Bootstrap for our code stuff, there's
called a
a
framework.
website.
Mhm.
It's called a framework.
Mhm.
I can't actually see my tabs because the like thing for Zoom is covering it.
Oh, that's lovely. You can do Control Alt Shift H.
Yeah, I'm just making that smaller. Okay, there. So I don't know if people can see that, but yeah, Bootstrap, which is what we're using, has a documentation thing that lets you see different things you can use. So I went to components, accordion. That is not accordion. There, that's accordion. Then I used this code, and I just edited a different thing's code, which was like here. And over here, I just took this and then edited it to have the code from over here. I don't know if that made sense, but yeah, that's what I did. I took like this string and copied it. I should just show my code, actually. So yeah, in my code, I just took this code, or I just put it in this code.
Oops.
Oops.
So what makes the top nav bar open and close the bottom things? How does that
Well,
work?
Basically, it's a button, so that means that it does button stuff. And then the class, so the class is accordion button, so that's why it opens in accordion. I don't know why it says type button, that's kind of redundant, but it does. And then this tells Bootstrap data stuff that it's going to collapse it. This tells it what it's going to collapse. This says whether it's expanded or not, which is wrong. So I don't know why it says that, but it does. It isn't collapsed.
It also spells area wrong. Spells
it does that
aria.
too. And then it just repeats the same information from earlier because
Hey,
it's not
a
very...
little bit of help if you want. Do Alt Z.
Oh yeah,
That'll
I had to change. Yeah,
make
I had to
everything
change the screen
collapse
size
so
in
you
order
can
to
all
see
see
the
it.
side of my screen. Yeah,
Yeah.
Zoom's GUI just is really difficult to navigate around because there's just random stuff.
Yeah, if you
in the
do
way of
Control
seeing.
Alt Shift H, you can get rid of those controls.
Oh, that's really nice. It still shows people's faces, so that's kind of... Oh, I can move it at least there.
Yeah, but those controls you can't. It's really obnoxious.
But yeah, that's how I did that, I guess. I just put a button here.
Yeah, and so the a little bit of clarification. So when you say the data BS target, that means data bootstrap, not BS bootstrap. Just make sure that you're not in your head when you see BS. It doesn't mean the other thing. It means bootstrap. That's my only complaint about bootstrap is just their name and their abbreviations. Also, actually, it's not my only thing, but like container fluid, like what? That's weird. Also, accordion. I mean, it kind of makes sense, but whatever. Some of their terminology is a little bit weird. But anyway, as he was explaining, the data BS target basically means in the data set, you do dataset.bs. This is JavaScript. Dataset.bs.target. Basically, that is pointing to a specific object or a specific tag, a specific element, node. These are all the same, mean the same thing in a way. And it's saying, show this. That's all it is. Or hide this. That's it. Which is quite useful for building HTML, really responsive HTML files, because otherwise you would have to come up with the logic for that in JavaScript, which we're going to be learning a little bit of JavaScript today. And also it comes with animations that make it look nice, which you'd have to create those animations in the right way in CSS and JavaScript, and it's just obnoxious as crap. So that's why Bootstrap exists. So anyway, anyone else want to go? Or we can just get started on JavaScript. Gonna get started on that? Going once? Going twice? Okay. I can't see anyone's faces, so it's hard to engage. I can only see Sandra. Sandra, sorry. I know someone named Sandra, so anyway. Yeah, so JavaScript. What do we know about JavaScript?
It's not Java.
It is not Java. That is an accurate description of JavaScript. Well done. What else?
And that's kind of a vague question, but JavaScript's basically, well, yeah, it's used for scripts, which is in the name.
Yep.
But basically, in HTML code, you can have stuff like buttons, and those buttons can call JavaScript functions, and then those functions use JavaScript to do stuff that inflicts the HTML code using document.body or whatever.
So I have a question for you, and it's a little bit of a loaded question. Not you specifically, Nate.
Oh.
You're right on what you said. But why is JavaScript usually the butt of every programming joke? Do you know? This isn't a start of like a joke. This sounds like the start of a joke, but it's not. There's no punchline. Why is it?
Well, well, ES5 at least, which is like the old JavaScript version, does not have very good looking object oriented programming. So that's why I find
What
it
is
bad.
OOP? What is object oriented programming?
Basically, it's the concept that you'll take every single object in your page and represent it with a class. Then for some reason, JavaScript was like, oh, hey, we'll do that in a really weird way that doesn't make much sense.
Yeah, so that is correct. And what's frustrating about JavaScript is it still supports that, because it supports everything JavaScript used to be with everything that JavaScript is now all together into one package, and it's really obnoxious. And objectively, it is the worst programming language. Although I did just watch a video on how to create the worst programming language, and God, the logic sucks. And it was so good, and I hated it. Anyway, so JavaScript is fully supported with everything JavaScript used to be, meaning it is it is fully backward compatible. So programs and websites that ran off of JavaScript back in the 90s still work today. And the reason why they keep the JavaScript or they have it backwards compatible is because we don't know, like, whoever is writing JavaScript doesn't know if there is a program or if there is a website or something that is integral to like some business, that is integral to some sort of part in the economy. And if they get rid of that feature out of JavaScript, it screws up that website, which screws up parts of the economy. Like, it can have so many lasting effects that are outside of the scope of just JavaScript. So that's why it is fully backwards compatible. That is also why everyone hates it. But you know what? Screw that. We're going to learn it. So there are two types of JavaScript. You have client side, or actually, you have the JavaScript that it's supposed to be, like how JavaScript is supposed to be used, and then how JavaScript is not supposed to be used. So what are, I have a question for all of you. What are these? Do you know what these are? Anyone? Nope. So JavaScript was originally supposed to be a program that was designed for browsers only, or client side only, which means whoever is opening a website, it'll run JavaScript, meaning JavaScript runs on every single device that can open a browser, which is also quite useful because that means it's universal, which also means that because it works on iOS and Android and Google and everything else, it's kind of obnoxious and kind of it's just people don't like it because it's so universal and not like everything. But anyway, that's how JavaScript was supposed to be. That's client-side JavaScript. We also have another type of JavaScript called Node.js, which is server-based JavaScript. What is a client and what is a server?
Well, I'm pretty sure a client would be like our computer, and then a server is something our computer is contacting to figure out what to run on a web page, and then the server sends that back.
Yeah, you can say a client would be the browser, and the server can be anywhere in the world, but connected via the internet, that is literally serving files and stuff. Yeah, that's correct. Anyone else want to expand on that? I guess not. So that the client-side JavaScript is what JavaScript was originally meant to be used for, and then it was adapted for Node.js, which if all of you have downloaded NPM, you can run JavaScript on your computer without a browser. And that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing what it's supposed to be doing and what it's not supposed to be doing originally, what its original intent was, but now is adapted for because people learned how to program in it, and we're like, you know what? Screw this, I'm not going to learn a bunch of programming languages just to design a full functioning website, and so they turned JavaScript into server-side as well. So that's a bit of a thing. That's JavaScript. Okay, so everyone, go to your, I hope none of you closed the Windows PowerShell thing, so I'm going to share, dang it, I just about said it again. So open up your Windows PowerShell. Sandra, shut up. I can see you laughing at me. Okay. Open up your Windows PowerShell and type in npm -v. Okay. what this is going to be doing is looking at your version of npm, which is Node.js. Okay, and when you do that, you should get this or some sort of numbers. If you don't, take some time, uninstall npm, and then download it again or reinstall it. Just go through that motion again because you did not. Something went wrong in your program. Your computer did not install it correctly. So, again, it's npm space -v. And you might be able to do npm version. Wonder if that works too. Oh, hey, it comes up with even more stuff. Cool.
I had problems finding. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. What's up?
I had problems finding how to download npm.
It was on that website that I gave you, I think. I'm pretty certain about that. Hold on a second. Go to web development and download Node.js. Right there. And you can download it. So it's you're downloading Node.js, but
okay.
npm is the package. Node.js is like the programming. I don't know how to exactly say it. There's specific terminology. Did you download this?
Did I download? I haven't downloaded it yet. That's what I'm doing right now. It's downloading as a .msi. Is that right?
What?
I just clicked the Windows installer button. It's downloading in .msi file. Is that where...
I don't specifically know. I think I just clicked on this one, which, yeah, is the MSI. Double check. Your computer is probably 64-bit, and I can explain the difference, why there's a difference between a 64 and 32-bit. But make sure you're downloading the correct one. You're probably using, because you're on Zoom, you're probably using a 64-bit computer.
Yep, I am.
Zoom probably wouldn't operate on a 32-bit, I don't think. So anyway, so yeah, npm version. So once you have that installed, Joey, when I'm going to go back through these motions, but you may, while you're installing it, just like write down notes or type into a text editor somewhere else that this is what you're going to be doing. These are the commands that you're going to be running. All right. So I'm going to also make sure you mute yourself, or I'm going to mute you for you. All right. Go npm and then init. We are initializing an npm package is what this means. Okay. So npm init and then hit enter. Okay. So this utility will walk you through creating a package.json file. So the package name can be whatever you want, but I'm just going to hit enter on that. I don't care. Sure, version 1.1.0.0. Sure, I don't care. Description, Tator stuff. Entry point. Now this is actually important. I'm going to say index.js. Entry point. Yeah, that's correct. Test command. I'm going to say npm test, or actually no, node test.js. Okay, type in node test.js. This will be our testing thing. And we're going to have two different JS files. One is index.js and one is is test.js. So just because we're going to be building a server on one and then testing stuff on another. So do that. Git repository, we're not going to have one. Keywords, I don't care. Author, don't care. License, doesn't matter. Okay. And then hit, is this okay? Yes, you can just press enter. And then in your Visual Studio Code, you will see this cool thing called package.json. This is an npm thing, okay? So notice how in that package.json, a JSON file is a file format that is designed for JavaScript. It's called JavaScript Object Notation, okay? You can copy and paste this directly into JavaScript, and it will work. However, you can't have functions inside of JSON because that creates a huge security risk because people are bad. Anyway, so notice how, remember when we said the script entry script is index.js, that's this thing, okay? And then our test command is node test.js, that's this thing. We're going to add one more inside of scripts. Shut up. Don't care about you. Shut up. Okay. So under test, we're going to, you have to have, if you don't do JSON programming properly, it's going to yell at you. So make sure you do comma. Now there's an error because I don't have anything after this comma, and then I'm going to create a key and then a value. Okay, so key value pair. Stop it, freaking Zoom. Okay. and I'm gonna say start. Okay, so our script is start. Okay, and I'm gonna say node index.js. Okay, so I will explain what these mean in a minute, but it'll help us later. Okay, so now we're gonna create a JS file, a JavaScript file. So create that new file in the same place that you did index.js. You just do index.js. Okay. Once you do that, it'll create a JavaScript file. Is everyone there? Do I need to slow down a little bit? I actually can't see everyone's faces. Hold on a second. Yeah. And you can just like unmute and say, "Hey, slow down. Hold your horses." I'm totally okay with you doing that. And I lost the chat.
What?
Hold on a second.
What were the
Yes,
commands
please
you
slow
put
down.
in the?
Sorry about that.
Oh, sorry. What were the commands you put in the PowerShell? I've got npm version, but then
npm version is just to double check that you have npm installed. Okay.
okay,
Then you do npm init, which
npm unit
init.
init.
Lexi, if you want to like say where you are, and so I can help you. I have this bad habit of going too fast through everything, so please tell me to slow down. Don't like you just don't hesitate to say, "Hey, stop it." Okay, so do that.
I still don't have Node.js, so yeah.
You don't have Node.js installed?
Yes, I'm just writing down.
All right.
Okay.
Cool. So npm init, and then this will create a package.json file. Make sure your test command is node test.js, and then ignore everything else. All right. And that'll create this JSON file right here. Okay. Which we added another command in here called start, and we're starting index.js. Actually, yeah, we're going to do node. All right. So now that we're in here, can I go back to the JavaScript? Am I good to do that? Lexi? Cool. We're going to utilize one quick thing just to make sure that we have everything working properly. We're going to say console.log hello world. Okay. So a little bit of components for that. Console is an object, and this is a what's called a method. A method is like a function. Okay. So we're going to be console logging a specific thing, and we have in quotes. You can do single quotes, or I have a command. If I do control quote, you can change. I can change quotes, and that's a thing that I installed. You can use these tildes, or you can use double quotes. Stop it. Stop it. Okay, double quotes. All three of them will work. So just make sure you have this in quotes. Otherwise, if you get rid of quotes, hello world, it's going to be thinking those are variables, and that's not what you want. Also, one thing that's cool in Visual Studio Code is you can highlight it and then press quote, or you can press parentheses or brackets or whatever, anything that has an opening and a close, and it will wrap it in whatever you just typed in. So quote, it'll wrap it in quotes. Okay, then I'm going to save that file. Now I'm going to go back to this, and here's where I was talking about that test versus start thing. Okay, so if I go npm start, so npm is reading start, and then it's going to this package.json file under scripts, and then it says start, and then it's going to be typing into the command line by itself node index.js. So if we say npm start, it'll say hello world. And notice how it said node index.js. We could type that too, node index.js, and it'll do the same thing. However, one's just a little bit easier, so that's why I had you put that in. npm start. Is everyone there? I know Joey and Sandra, you're still downloading npm and stuff, so I understand. But everyone else just want a little bit of confirmation that we are all in the same place.
I got an error when trying to put in npm start.
All right.
Well, it's actually just like a wall of errors. It says I'm missing the script, but I think
okay.
I have it.
So that means that you don't have it in here. So I'm going to get rid of the script. I'm going to do Control X, and I'm going to save. Then I'm going to try to do the same thing, and then it's going to be like, hey, this sucks. You don't have the script. Okay, so that means you didn't put in the script into here. So make sure you have start node index.js.
I think I do. I think it just is messed up because I tried to use Sass before this, and my package.json file has a bunch of random other stuff.
Yeah, make sure just go to a clean directory so you don't have any other what are they called?
Cool. Stuff.
There's a word for it. Any other things? Any other things? All right. I'm actually going to go to my presentation. Tator, what's it called? Slides. I should have opened this before. I just want to go through it because now I'm going to be teaching a little bit of JavaScript. All right. So, introduction to JavaScript. Okay. So we already utilized a variable, or this isn't a variable. We already utilized an object, and then we said we utilized a method, and then we passed in a parameter into that method saying hello world, and it told the computer to print that. Okay, so Alyssa, you're a little bit behind. Just curious, where are you? Donde.
Well, wherever she says trying to get it set up still.
Thank you, Sandra. I am able to see the chat.
I was gonna say what was I gonna say? Like when I do the initialization for npm, it just like doesn't show up in my Visual Studio Code. Is that what it's supposed to do? Just like automatically show up there?
Did you run npm init and then after saying yes, you hit enter?
Yep.
So it may be going in a different directory. That may be your issue. All right. So one thing that you can ensure that you're in the right directory is if you drag up from here. This is also Windows PowerShell. You go into the terminal. Hey.
Okay, yeah.
And you can run it here. Oh. I'm going to add PowerShell. All right. And then I can say npm start, and I'll also do the same thing. But people don't like working in there. So make sure
I just got errors.
Well, don't do npm start. Do npm init into here, and this will be the correct thing. So I'm going to delete my package.json. Okay, so I'm going to go npm init, init, then hit enter. Okay, so I'm going to create that package.json again.
I'm sorry, I just keep getting errors every time I do it.
What are your errors? What is it saying?
The term npm is not recognized as the name of the C.
That's because npm is not installed on your computer correctly.
Okay.
So did you
download
it
like
and
twice.
Install?
Yeah.
So that may be the issue. If you installed it twice without like uninstalling between, that may have been an issue. There may be also be settings in there.
Many places have problems.
So I can't I can help you with that, but I'm
not right now. That's okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. Alyssa, is it the same problem? Yeah. So I'm gonna if you would be willing to after class stay after for a little while and just double check that npm is installed correctly. What you can do in the meantime
is there like an emulator we could use or something?
Yes, that's what I'm about to do. So in any browser, you can do that right click. I'm going to go to, this is something that I'm building. Right click inspect. Okay. And this is all, and you can go to the console right here. This is all JavaScript. So this is all my stuff. So I'm going to hide that. Yay. Okay. and then I can go clear. That gets rid of all of my clear. That gets rid of all the stuff on the console. That's just for me. And you can run JavaScript on here. So you can say console.log hello world. And it will work the same way. But this is in the browser. Okay. So if you want to, in the meantime, work on installing it correctly. If you're able to figure it out, great. If you're not, if you can stay after, great. But also work on it in here. However, the problem is you can't run packages in here, which we won't be going over quite yet. Okay, so I'm going to close out of this. Okay, so different parts of JavaScript. Okay, I'm going to go back to here. Yeah. Okay, so there are different classes. As David said, there's a term called class, and a class is a data. How do you explain it? It's a data type. Well, it can contain any type of data type that also has functions associated with it. Basically, it combines data and functions together, and it's really cool. It's very helpful, and you can do all sorts of things. So, for example, I'm going to create we're going to start with a string. So a string is just plain text. Okay, so when we said in quotes hello world, that was a string. Okay, and in JavaScript, every line, almost every line, you should have that semicolon here. I'm just used to doing that. Okay, so when you do that and then you do dot, you can see there are a bunch of things. So these purple boxes or purple cubes are methods, and these blue cubes are parameters or getters. Okay, and then there are also like some things that are strike through, which those are deprecated things. Okay, meaning you don't use them. But we can say hello world to uppercase, and now the whole thing is to uppercase. What is this? Is this a parameter or a not a parameter? Is this a method or is it a getter? Which one is it? A method. The reason being, there are these parentheses here. Okay, those parentheses mean run this function. Regardless, if you see parentheses like that, it means run that function. Okay, you can also have parentheses that are around a whole thing that just basically means combine all of this together. It's all independent from code. So that means PEMDAS, if you know PEMDAS, is completely useless. PEMDAS is completely ignored. Just use parentheses. Just use them. Don't not use parentheses. Use parentheses. Okay. Anyway, so this is a method because it has that. If you don't have that, if I say dot length, and if I try to do that, I mean, I'm probably going to have an error if I try to run this command. I go node index.js or npm start. Like, hey, that's not allowed. So make sure, yep. I'm gonna save that again. Dot length, and it should work just fine. Oh, actually, you know what? I'm just gonna use this. We'll see. Oh, it's because I didn't finish this thing. Okay, hold on a second. Description, entry point, test command, test. No, node, that's not. Yes. Okay. Okay. Now I've created that. I'm gonna go start node start. Yes. Okay. Sorry about that. Now if I do length, it should give me an error. I'm gonna go back to my Windows PowerShell, which I just freaking closed. Okay, whatever. I go npm start. It should say, hey, this is dot length is not a function. Okay, but if I do that, it shouldn't have an error, but it's not going to print it. It's just going to say nothing. I have to wrap that in this in a console.log. Now, if I log that, it'll give me a number. Okay, which brings us to our next thingy class. Okay, so you have strings, which are in quotes. You can have 3 different types of strings. You can have single quotes, you can have double quotes, and then you can have tilde or multi-line quotes, which are really cool because you can have them in multi-lines. Hello, this. Okay, but you can't do that with a single or double. See, creates an error. Okay, so this is all one thing. This is all. This is one thing, and then this is another thing. Okay, I'm gonna close that. Okay, so those are strings. Okay, so going on from there, we're gonna have numbers. Okay, a number, pretty simple. You have that. It's a number. Great. Okay, there are not many things you can do with numbers. Number is not really an object. Actually, 12. I'm gonna dot. You can like do toString, which will turn 12 into a string, or you can do like, I don't know. I rarely use these things. They're numbers. You know what numbers are. Great. All right. So now you have Boolean values. This is a comment, just FYI. It's not read by JavaScript. So Boolean value is either true or false. Okay. So there's no in between. It's 1 or 0, true or false. Problem with JavaScript that a lot of people hate is there is this concept called truthy. And an empty string, if you test an empty string, it'll be true. If you test an empty if you test an empty string, it'll be false. If you test an empty object, it'll be true. If you test an empty array, it's weird. It's just weird. So you have true or false. We're just going to leave it at that. You have true or false. Everyone understand? Good on that. So you have strings, you have numbers, and you have Boolean. What's up?
So you can convert things to strings 2 ways. I just want to know which one's like better to use. You can type string and then parentheses the number, or number.toString, and I don't know which one is actually better because they're 2 for some reason.
You can't do number.toString because that dot is treated as a decimal point. And so I had to wrap it in parentheses, number.
Yeah, but is it better to do that or to put like string?
I never use number.toString.
So
I'm
it's
gonna
better
be
to use
totally
string.
honest with you. If I'm going to use toString and a number, I will put the number in a variable, and we'll go into that later.
I mean, I just meant like because there's 2 functions that let you turn things into strings from numbers.
Oh, you're saying string.
Yeah, I don't know which one's better.
We'll go into that later. One's creating a class and one's a method. That's a good question. We'll go into that. Okay, so you have Boolean. This is a controversial topic in JavaScript, and is another reason why JavaScript doesn't people don't like it, and it hasn't changed because it will break things if it does. So, little thing about Boolean. So I'm gonna make I'm gonna console.log, okay, and stupid freaking yeah, okay. So I'm gonna run a test, and our numbers are gonna be 1 and 0, okay. So I'm gonna test if 1 equals 0. Which all of us know that 1 is not equal to 0. But if you have 2 equals, that means that is a test if it's 0, and it will return false. Okay? You can also do equals 0, and it will also, which almost means the same thing, but it means are the data types also the same? We'll go into that. Okay? So if is it not equal to 0 is exclamation point. You can and if I run that, not equal. Okay, so equal. I'm going to type these into. Actually, I'm going to type them here. I'm going to go through here. Equals is equal. And then you have this, not equal. Okay, and then you're going to have is less than. Whoops, is less than. Returns false. Less than. Then obviously greater than. You can also have less than or equal to. or greater than or equal to. Don't be confused. There's a difference. Make sure you do less than and then equal to. If you do that, this is different. Just don't do that. It's a completely different JavaScript thing. Also, people don't like it. Another reason why people don't like JavaScript, because it has multiple ways of doing things and it's obnoxious. It's crap. Okay, so now we have less, greater, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. You have less, all of that. Great. And there's no not less than or equal to. That doesn't exist because not greater than or equal to, because that's the same thing as less than. That literally means exactly the same thing. So it just doesn't have that. Okay. Now getting into this equals equals equals. What is this? Does anyone know?
Doesn't it like check whether it's also the same type as well as whether it's equal
Yes.
or something?
All right.
Oh, okay.
So if I say 1 equals equals string 1, what is it going to say? True or false?
It's gonna say true, but then I say it
True?
equals
Let's vote on it.
false. True.
True.
Did you say it's going to be true, but also could be false? Little Schrodinger there. Anyone? We only have 2 people participating? Come on. Who says it's false? All right, fine. Okay, so I'm going to run this, and it's going to say true. Okay, so now what's frustrating is, well, not frustrating, but it does incorporate this, which can be useful, but also can be quite frustrating, is if you add another equal sign and run it again, it'll be false because they're 2 different data types. Okay, so that's what that means. Okay, you can also have like type of 1, and it'll return number. Okay, and so you can say type of 1 equals equals number. True. Okay, so you like actually either equal equals or equal equals will also be the same thing in this specific case. But again, these are contextual. So whether or not you'd use the equals, I honestly rarely use them because usually I know what my data types are going to be. But if I don't know what they're going to be, that's when you would use the 3 equal signs. All right. Does anyone have any questions about that? Booleans. Yes or no? Cool.
Oh, wait.
Nate, what's up?
Does JavaScript have floats, or is it just all numbers
Nate,
of the
shut
same
up.
type? Okay.
We're
I don't
not
know
there
because
yet.
like it's printing number, but like other numbers, I'd assume were different, but like apparently they aren't. That's just confusing.
I just some people are
Okay,
just learning JavaScript.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I'll ask that later. Cool.
Yeah. Thank you for your question, Nate. I appreciate it. We'll shut up. All right. I say that with all the love in my heart. Shut up. All right. Okay. So array. Actually, I'm going to do object first. Object. Okay. So remember when Nate mentioned object-oriented programming? So an object basically means something is inside of something else. Okay. In layman's terms, basically, you have similar to in like an HTML file, you have like the body, and then you have the script tag inside of that, or if you have like a div, and then you have an h1, and then you have a span. Like that's kind of object orientation. Okay. HTML is not an object-oriented programming language. It's not even a programming language in a lot of people's opinions, but that's kind of beside the point. Okay, so it basically means something is stored inside of something else. So, for example, I'm gonna inside of here. How to do it is you create two brackets, curly braces, okay? So let's all of us who have the package.json, if you don't, I'm going to copy mine into yours, into the script, okay? So I'm going to copy this, Control C, Control V, okay? And I'm going to save. So I'm pasting the JSON file into here, and I'm going to npm start. So I'm logging the entire JSON file. So it works. This is proof that JSON works in JavaScript. Now, how can we access different parts of an object? Anyone know how to do that? Don't answer that, Nate, because you know the answer to it. Anyone?
This is a complete guess, but like the thing dot the part.
Yes. So dot author. Actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do license. That's one way to do it. npm start, you get ISC. Or you can do in brackets, you can type in type in a string. So make sure you have your object, and then in a bracket pair, type in a string author, and it will also do the same thing. Or not, I guess. Hey, that's rude. I spelled that the same way. What the heck? It should work. What? Okay, well, remember when I said people don't like JavaScript? All right, so that's what that means. The next thing is an array. What is an array, everyone? Let's have Alyssa answer that. Or Lexi, or Ethan, or Joey. Hello? I guess not. Sandra?
I said a list of things.
A list, yes. So in Python, it is called a list. In Python, when you have an object, it's called a dictionary. Okay, they're the same thing. Okay.
What's it called in JavaScript?
What?
What's it called in JavaScript?
An object.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool. So an array is a list of things. So I can say a list of numbers, which these are in brackets. Okay, so in just straight brackets, no curly brackets. I'm going to make a list of numbers from 0, and they're separated by commas, like a CSV, a common separated value thing. I'm going to 0, comma 1, comma 2, comma 3, comma 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so on all of those. Okay, then I'm going to start that, and it returns the same thing, an array. So how do you access specific, like say I wanted to access the number 4 and get that specific thing from this array. How do I do that? Okay, JavaScript is a zero-based programming language, zero-based index programming language. So it's first, actually I'm not going to start with 0, I'm going to start with 1. Okay. So it's first, if I'm accessing the number 4, I'm going to type in the number 3. Okay? Because its first position is position 0. Its second position is position 1. And then 2, 3, 4. So it starts at 0 and then goes up. Okay? This can be a little bit confusing. So I'm going to prove it to you. I'm going to get the third position in that array, which is number 4. Okay, and yay, it's 4. Okay, so notice how I had the array, and then I said 3 in brackets. If I did .3, it wouldn't work. Okay, so you have to have those in brackets for it to work. Okay, so that proves that it is a zero-based programming language. You can also, one thing that's confusing about JavaScript is if you do .length, and run it, it's going to return 9. Okay, so and that's the maximum number. But what is the index of that number?
8.
8. That's what's frustrating about JavaScript. The last index of the number is the length minus 1.
Is that only true for JavaScript, or is it?
No, Python does the same thing, and there are other things that do the same thing, but JavaScript does that. Okay, yeah, that's one thing that is just confusing, and it took a little bit to wrap my head around, but that's what it is. Okay, so the last position minus 1 is, or sorry, whatever I just said. You can just watch the recording later because I'm getting my words in a mouthful. Okay, so anyway, so we have gone through string, we have gone through array, we have gone through Boolean, number, string, and object. Do you have any questions about any of these? We good? Bad? Ugly? Cool. All right. I'm going to get rid of all of those, and we're going to move on to the next thing. Okay? The next thing are variables. So there are 3 types of variables in JavaScript. Okay? You have there are 3 different ways of initializing a variable. You have let, you have var, and you have const. What are the differences between these? Nate, you want to answer that?
Well, I know constants are constant
Mm-hmm.
because it's in the name, and then let and var are both like able to change. And then there's some weird stuff with scope. So I think let's, if you have like an if and you have a let inside of it, then nothing outside the if can access it. But if it's a var, it can. But it's kind of confusing.
Yeah, it is a little confusing. So it basically, I only use let unless something fails. Then I use var. But I default to let. But if you're using like AppScript from a Google, it uses var more than let. I just use let more. Because it's easier to say let variable than var variable. So anyway, a little bit of naming conventions. So I'm going to say let, and I'm going to say hello world. Okay, naming conventions with variables. You start with lowercase, and then you go to uppercase for every sequential word afterward. Okay. Question on. Yeah, what's up?
Isn't it called camel case?
That is called camel case. That is correct. And Python, if any of you are familiar, it uses snake case, which would be hello.
How fitting.
Dang it. Yeah. Dang it. Zooming out. Hello _ world. Okay. So it uses snake case. Stupid thing. Okay. JavaScript, it's standard that use camel case. Okay. That is a good question. So we're going to say hello world equals a string hello world. Okay. Notice that this is one equal sign. One equal sign is an assignment. Okay. It is saying this variable is hello world. And I'm going to console.log hello world. Okay. Then I'm going to, just for fun, I'm going to say console.log hello world dot to uppercase. Make sure you add those parentheses afterward. Okay. And I'm going to save it. I'm going to start it. Hello world, and then it's hello world. Yay. Cool. So we know that this method works. Yay. Cool. So now we're going to go to constant. So when you have a constant, it is customary that you capitalize everything. But I don't like doing that because it's kind of stupid, in my opinion. I just keep to the camel case. Because I can see that as a constant, because notice how I'm going to do let not world. Notice how variable is light blue and a constant is dark blue. I can see the difference between a constant and variable right there. I don't need any capitalization changes. So anyway, so if I say hello world, Do you think this will cause an error? To uppercase. Will that cause an error?
Yes.
The answer is no, because I'm not actually changing the variable. I'm just changing the outcome of. I'm just saying, here's the output. Okay. Now I'm going to change this back to a let, and I'm going to say, hello world equals hello world dot to uppercase, and then I'm just going to get rid of that. So now it's useless. This is saying hello world is now equal to hello world to uppercase. Okay, so when I start that, you can see it's to uppercase. If I comment that out, control question mark and control / and start it, it's oh, I forgot to save it. It's back to lowercase. Okay. Now I'm going to change this back to a const. Okay. Now it will return an error. It'll be like, hey, assignment to a constant variable. You're not allowed to change it. So this is what it means. What Nate said. Nate meant when he said you can't change a constant. Okay. I can change a constant here by saying goodbye world. It'll like I can change the constant in just the language itself, but the program in its cache, cache cache, cannot change the cannot change a constant. Not allowed. It'll be like screw you, double middle finger, like nope, not allowed to do that. Okay, so that's what he meant by constant, or can't change the thing. Okay, so questions on variables, anyone?
So if you have like an array that's constant, can you change like
No.
members of the? Okay,
You
but
can't.
that's always kind of confusing.
So I can say let's say const r equals an array of say 1 comma 2 comma 3. Okay. Now I can't say r dot push, which is pushing a new thing to the array. I can't say r dot push 4. It's gonna have it should have an error, or I guess it doesn't. Oh no, I can't have an assignment r equals 1 to 4. I'm not allowed to have an assignment, but I can do any method that is associated with that constant. Does that make sense?
Yeah. What about like classes? Because that's always really confusing.
We are just about to get there.
Like
All right.
classes and constants. Okay.
We are so we now have done all of the variables. So now we're going to create a function. Our function, what we want to do is we're going to add two numbers together. Okay, that's all we want to do. Okay, so we're going to create a function. There are two ways to do it. We're going to do the easier way instead of the harder way. So we're going to say function. Okay, function add, not AFD. Okay, add, and then we're going to say add number x comma y. So these, this is saying this is a function, and this is the title of that function. Okay, and then in there we are passing in two parameters, x and y, and those are the two numbers that we're going to be adding together. Okay, now in that function we have the curly brackets. Okay, we are going to return x plus y. That's a very simple function. It's pretty easy to understand what is happening. But does everyone understand the terminology with return and the add and all of that stuff? Does anyone have questions about that? So a quick explanation. Return means whatever is on this side of the return, it's passing it back. So similar to when we said dot length, that is a getter. Actually, I'm going to say string dot to uppercase. This function, or I should say method, has a return statement that returns all of those letters as an uppercase. So that's what that means. Okay. And now I'm going to console.log. What is 1 plus 2? Anyone? Let's find out. 1, comma 2. Sandra, I know you were going to answer that. You don't need to answer it. It's pretty obvious.
It's
what's gonna
4.
happen. Really?
It's 4, yeah.
Look at that. It's amazing, isn't it? Okay, so that's a function. Okay, you can also do some cool stuff, like, I'm actually not going to do that. Okay, so that's a function for you. It's 4. What? All right, great, fantastic. All right, thank you, Joey. So, yay, we've created a function that did something, and now I'm going to get rid of all of it. So now I'm going to create an object using a class. Okay, so I'm going to say class robot. This is a Team Taters thing. Okay, so this is similar to a string, or similar to an object, or similar to an array. It can be whatever you want, but it just creates a new thing. Okay, so class robot. So our constructor is what we pass into the class, and I'll show you how to. Actually, I'm going to get rid of all that. I'm going to say let str equals new string console string. Okay, so that's what classes do. Okay, so I'm creating a class string with string inside of it. Okay, this is what we're doing. We're trying to create one of these, which creates a new whatever you want it to be. Okay, so we're going to create a class robot constructor. We're going to have let's say team name, and they're going to have number, and then we're going to have, I don't know, what else do we want to have in a robot? You can do this on your own too. Do whatever you want. Sandra.
Like size?
Size. Anyone else? Nope. Okay. Weight. And actually, I'm not going to do size. I'm going to do length.
That makes sense.
And width. And we're going to do some cool stuff with that. Okay. So now I'm going to say, I'm going to take all of those parameters and I'm going to do stuff with it. So really all I'm going to do is I'm going to make robot.name equal to name and all of that. So I'm going to say this dot name equals name, which is quite boring. So it's basically saying this object's name is name. And I'm going to do that for each one. This dot number equals number. This dot length equals length. This dot width equals width. This dot weight equals weight. Okay. Actually, I'm going to do height as well. This dot height equals height. Great. And there's a reason for that. Okay. So now I'm going to create let haters equal new robot. Our team name is actually, let's do Honey Badger. That was 2016. Our team number is 2122. Length, let's do, I don't know, 24. 24. Length, or width is, I don't know, 36. Our height is going to be like 7 inches, because that was a really, actually, it was more like, it was 11 inches off the ground, I think. Okay, not off the ground, but height in total. And then its weight is 120, actually 140. 40 pounds with a battery and stuff. Okay, so now we have all of those. What?
It's a short robot.
It was a very short robot. It had to go under a bar. So that's why we had to do it. It also had to climb 10 feet into the air. So it had to do both.
Nice.
And it was pretty crazy. John did a really good job with the climber, and I helped a little bit. But I did more. I did the entire frame. God, that was a fun robot. Anyway, so our now we have a robot. Taters is a new robot, a class. Okay, and it's called Honey Badger. Let's console.log taters Yay. All right. On your own for the next like 5 minutes or 4 minutes, I don't care. Actually, let's say 3 minutes. So it's 8:25. Do something on your own that is a class. And pass in different things. So you can have a number, you can have an array, a string, different constructors. On your own. If you have questions, ask. What's everyone building?
Food.
A what?
Food.
Food. Joey, what are you building?
I'll probably do something to tell me how much longer I'm muted on different servers. Like Discord servers. Like I got
Yeah,
jumped,
I got
so now I'm
that,
muted
but
for
I'm
6 hours.
Maybe you can call it like servers.
Yeah, so it'd just be like servers, or like I could do like prisoner or something.
I would not recommend that you have a class do something plural. So you said servers plural. Have a class be a single
gosh.
thing. That's kind of what it's for, right? So server as a class. Think about that.
Got it.
Yeah. Nate.
I'm making a console.log manager because it's funny and way too unnecessary. I'm making a manager that handles console.log so you don't have to do it. And
Okay.
it makes you write more code for no reason.
All right,
So-
Lexi. I'm doing a cat. Cool. All right. So we have drinks. Make sure, Alyssa, make it drink instead of drinks, plural. Just make sure that's important. Because if you do drinks as in as a plural statement instead of a singular statement, it is going to be a little bit more confusing because that's going to be multiple things, whereas a class is usually specifically around like one singular thing. So we have a cat, we have drink, we have a useless function, and we have what did Joey say? Hold on, don't tell me. Forgot what it was. What was it again, Joey?
Like prison time.
Oh, muted on
I've
servers.
got it.
Yeah, a server. That's right. Discord server. And
Yep.
then Sandra, you're doing food. Yeah. Cool. So you and Alyssa can get together and make food and drinks. Cool. Start a restaurant. So, what parameters are you passing in, Sandra?
Like country of origin,
Country of origin. Okay.
flavor. They're gonna be like mostly strings because I can't, or like, yeah, or
What would be a number that would be a part of food?
I don't know. That'd be weird if you like measured your food,
Preparation time.
but like, oh, preparation time.
Mhm.
Nice.
Number of servings. 2. That could be a number.
Yes.
Weight. I don't know. That could also be useful.
Weighing your food.
Yeah, people. Yeah, number of ingredients.
Age
Ingredients could be an
requirement for
array.
eating.
There you go. An array of strings. Actually, it could be an array of objects, which is my favorite version. So you do an array of objects, and in each object you have a title, and the title is like the ingredient. So like pepper, and then you say on the next thing amount, and so you have key value pairs of the ingredient and the amount together in objects, and you have a bunch of them. Joey, you have server. What are your things you're passing in? I can explain to you what I was talking about later.
So I had my idea was like names, so name of the server, time,
Okay.
how much how much I'd been muted for. And then I was going to do a remainder, but that needed like some sort of countdown function, which I don't know how to do yet. And
Okay, we can talk about that. Alyssa, what are you doing with drinks? Alyssa, as you're typing, let's have Nate go. What parameters are you passing in?
I'm just putting in a default message, and I'll probably put in a speed in case I want to make it a spam bot because yeah, I don't really know.
Okay.
But yeah, there's like a default message, and then you can pass in custom messages.
Okay. What parameters are you passing in, and what are the different parameters? Like different parameter types.
It's just a string, which is the default message, and then I guess a number, which is a string, or a number, which is the speed. So it's really not very much.
Oh, you're doing water as a class. Okay. And yeah, that makes sense. So all of those are numbers. So amount of water is a number, weight is a number, glass is height is a number. What in there could be a string? And Lexi, same questions to you. What parameters are you typing in? Are you passing into your class? What are the different data types? That kind of thing. Alyssa, a string could be like location. It's like got from. I don't know, like a river or something. I don't know. What else could be? You could have the height and weight and brand. Yeah, sure. String height and weight both being an object. Name, weight, sleep time, sleep time. Do food as well because you can pass in Sandra's stuff into yours. Because they all they do is eat, sleep, and okay. Yeah, that I think we all have good stuff and we're all pretty much getting the main concept. So I'm going to go back to my robot. I want to, on the robot, I'm going to have a getter. Okay, so remember how we had like array.length? That's a getter, what it's called. Okay, so I'm going to get volume. Okay, so I'm going to get the volume. And how do we calculate volume? Anyone?
Width times length times height.
Right. Which obvious. Okay, so return. I'm going to make sure that everything I'm passing in is a number. So I'm going to return number, which is a new class. This dot width. And then I'm going to copy and paste this times itself for now. Then I'm going to change width dot height times length. Okay. So now, if I do taters dot volume, I should get another number. And that's its cubic in cubic inches. What if I wanted it in cubic feet? If I wanted to do that. Well, we're in cubed. So this is some math. Okay, so I now have to divide that by 12 times 12 times 12. And make sure you use parentheses. Use parentheses. Okay? So I have to divide that by 12 cubed. And it is pretty much 4 cubic feet. Yay, because that's a useful thing. All right. Now what if I wanted to calculate density? Density. All right, get density. Well, it's return this dot volume divided by this dot weight. Stop it. Weight. Okay. But I'm actually going to make sure this dot weight number this dot weight. That's ensuring that's a number, because if they weren't numbers, it would like if you tried to add two strings together, it would concatenate the string. So 1 plus 1 would be 1 1 instead of 2. That's why I'm passing in these as numbers, just making sure these are numbers. Like they're not numbers, and yikes. Okay. So now I'm gonna calculate taters dot. Well, yes, Thank you. Well, if you're concatenating. All right, volume, density. This should work. Yay! Some number that I don't care about. All right. So now, what would be a function? So let's say, we're gonna have, let's calculate. Yeah. So let's say speed. I'm gonna pass in another thing called speed. Then we're gonna say this dot speed equals speed. Then we're gonna pass in, I don't know, 15. Okay. Completely arbitrary. And I wanted to see how long it would take to go 12 feet. So I'm gonna now I'm gonna have a method. So time it takes. So that's gonna be a function. Okay, so now to how if I said get time dot take, it turns blue because that's a getter. But now if I don't have that get, it is a function. And so now I'm gonna put in distance into there. Okay. So I'm now going to return distance divided by time, which let me just double check. We have speed, which is FPS divided by no. I need speed divided by distance. Okay, for the time it takes to do something. Return this dot speed, actually number. This dot speed divided by number distance. Remember, notice how I'm not doing this dot distance because this value is a parameter that I'm passing into this method. Okay, this is not gotten from here. Only speed is, right? So now I want to say time it takes. Let's say time it takes to go 800,000. I don't care. Just some random number. Okay. INPM start. That doesn't seem right. I think I have these reversed. Damn it. Dang it. Shut up. Okay, that looks more correct. I had my things back. Oh, yeah, because I'm dividing by that, which puts the... God, I'm stupid. All right. Wow. Anyone... No one judge me on my math? Shut up, everyone. I know most of you are like TVMSC people. It has been a long time since I've done math. I'm a music major, okay? I play saxophone. Shut up. All right. Every single one of you, I don't need your sass. All right. So what if this was a string? Question, would it still work? Why?
Strings can't be divided.
Sure, it would still work because I am forcing it to be a number. So if I run it, it'll still come up with the same thing because this is, I'm passing in this string into time it takes, which goes into here, and this thing, which is the string 800,000, is being passed into here, which is forcing it to be a number. If I didn't do that, wonder what would happen. Oh, it'd still work. Well, great. That's the problem with JavaScript, is it often ignores types. And it's a good practice to force your things to be a specific type. Because if you didn't do that and it was like, I don't know, and it was 800,000 S, what is it going to return? It's going to return NaN, not a number. Okay, so like that string cannot be turned into that. But if I do 800,000 E, 1500, like that thing, it's probably going to be something infinity. Great. So this means exponent 15 that. So it's just too large for the computer to calculate. So does everyone understand? That's the problem with JavaScript. Yeah. All right, I appreciate that, Joey. Shut up. All right. I'm pretty sure you can have these outside of quotes. Yeah, that'll still work. So pretty much anything that is a string can't be concatenated and can be turned into a number will be treated like a number if you're doing multiplication, addition, or subtraction. Or, sorry, not addition, multiplication, division, or subtraction. If you're doing addition, that'll be treated as concatenation. And that's the problem with JavaScript. So anyway, does anyone have questions about that? Anyone?
Well, I guess this is just a question about classes in general. But if you change that let taters to a const taters, then like, can you like what part of the class can you edit and what can you not edit?
Okay.
Can you
So
like still move around?
I'm gonna do yeah. Okay. So I can say const taters. Let's see, taters dot speed equals 500. Let's see if that works. It works. Now, if I were to do taters equals new robot skunkworks, that's when it creates a variable, an error. So I really hope that I am correct when saying this. If you're trying to change the constant at its root and you use an assignment to change it, it will throw an error. To my understanding. Again, JavaScript is obnoxious, and it may have an exception to that rule. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, how can you include these getters or a function into your classes? So, Sandra, let's have you go first. You're first because you're just first in the order of my thing. Yeah, so have a getter on your class. Something that you don't pass in a parameter, but will return something in food.
Get price of, or I guess if price is not a.
Actually, yeah, sure. If you say
I have to make some other variables before I do that.
oh, also classes, you capitalize the first letter, just FYI. Okay. So your thing, class food, constructor, let's say ingredients. What the heck? Ingredients, and then let's just do ingredients. And then in there, this dot ingredients equals ingredients. And then get price, total price. Totala. That's the problem with Java. Okay, price. All right, get the total price. So let's say ingredients is passed in like this. So I'm gonna say let mac and cheese, because I made that last night, equals new food ingredients. Okay, so in our ingredients, we're gonna
cheese is an ingredient to the food.
What?
It's an ingredient to the food? Like, what kind of food is this?
Mac and cheese is our food.
Oh, okay.
And now we're gonna be passing in, so mac and cheese is the variable of our new food.
That makes sense.
And we're gonna be passing in some ingredients. Okay, now our ingredients are gonna be a little fun. And it's going to be my favorite data structure. I absolutely love this data structure, okay? So it's going to be an array of objects. Object, okay? So now, our object, we're going to have the ingredient name, cheese, number, or actually say amount. Put up, amount, okay? Let's say 5. Completely arbitrary, okay? And then we're going to say price per unit is 2, okay? Now, I'm going to, yeah, well, I don't know if that's 2 cents or $2, or like it's completely arbitrary. I recognize that completely. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to say, so we're going to have cheese, we're going to have macaroni noodles, we're going to have butter, we're going to have milk, then we're going to have water. Okay.
So every one of these in the brackets is a thing in the array.
And is a thing in the array. This is why it's so much fun. I love this. Okay. So cheese, noodles, amount, let's say, how many noodles are in there? Let's say 1,000 noodles. Okay. Price per unit, let's say
Like
0.01. Yeah, something really small. Okay. Cheese, is milk.
Milk?
Milk. All right. Amount 5. Amount 2.
2 milks.
2 milks. All right. Price per unit
1?
1. Okay.
That's really cheap milk.
What's the next one? Water. Amount.
4?
4. Okay. Price per unit.
0?
It does
I don't
cost
know.
a little bit, so I'm going to say 0.00001.
Okay.
4. Okay. Doesn't matter. And then our last
Nice.
one is butter. Amount. It's a little bit less than milk. Oh, 10. Holy crap. All right. And then price per unit. Let's say 500. All right. Actually, no.
Nice.
We're gonna say 0.5 or 0.4. Okay. So now, we are passing. I'm gonna just sort of iterate. This is an array. Okay.
Where
All
did
of
we
these are
say it was an array?
What?
Isn't there like a? Is there a place where we told it was an array?
Yeah. These brackets right here.
Oh.
Opening and closing brackets.
Okay.
It's an array. But when
Gotcha.
I save it, actually, oh, cool. So I'm making a new food. So now I'm gonna go a little bit beyond what we learned today, and I'm gonna say total price. I'm gonna return. Actually, I'm gonna say let total equals. Actually, oh, how do I do it? I'm just gonna let total, and I'm not gonna assign it to anything.
Is this variable only existing within the method?
Within the scope. And this isn't a
Sure,
method, it's a
okay.
getter. Okay. A method would
Getter.
be that. Okay. A getter,
Okay.
you don't pass in any variables.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
I'm gonna say let total. Actually, I'm gonna say let total equals 0. Okay. now- I'm gonna say this dot ingredients dot for each. This is for each ingredient, which for each ingredient I'm gonna label. I'm gonna create a function. I'm gonna ingredient. Okay. For each of those, I'm gonna run a function. I'm gonna return amount. Actually, no, I'm not gonna return anything. I'm gonna say total plus equals. So meaning I am adding to and reassigning, okay, plus equals ingredient dot amount times ingredient dot price per unit. Do you understand the logic on that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then I'm going to return total. There's actually something else in there, something called sum, but I just forget how to use it, and so I kind of don't use it. So now, if I go console, confirm console.log mac and cheese dot total price, and I run that, I'm going to return 26, which is 5 times 2 plus 1,000 times 0.01 plus 2 times 1 plus 4 times 0.000014 plus 10 times 0.4. And you can check that by yourself.
Could we theoretically make like all of the ingredients a type of food as well?
Sure.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, the sky's your limit.
Mhm.
Okay. Joey, what about you?
Yeah, I'm not sure what I could do on here because it's mainly just figure out how much time you have, how much time you have left.
Okay, so there's a function. I mean, there's a getter right there. So time you no, that's a method because you're passing in how much time you have. And you just subtract, and there's some like how much time you have left right there.
How can you
Function.
get, like, how can you get how much time has passed? Is there a function you can do that?
Well, there is a date string. So, I mean a date. Okay, so let d equals new. Actually, I'm going to say date. Date is a is in milliseconds since January 1st, 1970. That is the 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, that is 0. Okay, and every single thing across the board uses that date. Just because if it doesn't, then things get screwed up. And then like, what was it, 2018, where they added a leap second into their thing, and it like screwed up a bunch of programmers were so mad. Anyway, so I'm gonna say date.now. Okay, so that is right now. That's well now, not now. Okay, you get the joke. It's a little bit of Spaceballs right there. Okay, anyway, so date.now is right when it initializes that thing. Okay, and then you could say, actually, I'm gonna pass it into a function. Let function past date num. Okay, let now equals date dot now. Okay, so date, as you can see, is a class because it's green. Now is a function. I don't know why it's not a getter, but it's a function. It's a method. Okay, and then you can say return now minus date num. Okay, and date num needs to be in milliseconds for how long you have, or how long it's been, or something. You figure out the logic, but that's how you do time. Time is in milliseconds since January 1st, 1970, 12 o'clock midnight. Yeah, it's weird.
Yep. Is there any like a website or a program that can like just calculate date for you, or is it
do yourself?
all manual?
No. You can pass in a string, let d equals new date, and I can say it is 2022 May 5th, which is the 6th month. I mean the zero base, so it's 4th. I think I can't remember. It's 4 or 5. I can't remember. That's the problem. No. Okay, and then it is the 31st, and then it is it's 8, 51, and 1000. Oh no, 51, 1, 300. Okay, so this is the year, this is the month, the day, the date, the hour, which that's actually not 8. That'd be 20. No, I don't know, 19ish somewhere, 19. And then this is the minute. Then this is the second. Then this is the millisecond. Okay, and then console.log d. I'm gonna log d, which is the date. Okay. 2206. Wait a minute. I just forget how it's done. It's weird. 07. What? Okay, whatever. So, and then you can say like D. I'm actually going to rename that today. Today. I often use single letter variables just to make things faster. Today dot get date string, or to date string. Friday, July 1st. Hey, that's not right. 4. May 31st. Yay, we got it. Does that make sense?
Okay. You gotta create a new date for each event.
And
okay.
The date itself is, this is going to be, so I'm going to do type of today. I'm pretty sure it's going to be an object. Yeah, so if I do type of today dot number get whatever. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yep, I think so.
All right,
Thank you.
Alyssa, class. You have water. You can calculate the volume. You can calculate density if you have weight. What else are you wanting to do with your while you're typing that? Let's have Nate go. Methods.
Well, I made just like a print function, and then I made a print function that spams my console, so now I can't use it. So that was smart.
Well done. Did you did you like a while true?
What? I did while true if date.now minus previous time is greater than this dot speed times 1,000, then print, and then once it's done doing that, it resets the counter.
Great. If you ever get in an infinite loop, all you have to do is Control C, and it'll get out of there.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure what else you can do without more variables. And with water, there's not much you can do. But, I mean, you could do, like, carbonated and how much carbon you have to mix in there to make it carbonated, because that's definitely how it works. Lexi. Dang it. I'm just reading. Does anyone have any questions? At least last 5 minutes. I'm not sure what you can do for a cat. Time it takes until I'm hungry, which is probably going to be less than a millisecond.
You should use those variables to calculate likability.
And have that likability be on a scale of like chonkness, or have chonkness be put into that. And so it would be like not cute to cute, which could be a bell curve, based on chonkness and most other things. And so you could have some sort of calculator that runs through. That's a cool thing. All right. All right. Do we have any questions about anything? So we learned how to use a class. We're learning how to use different variables. We're learning how to use a combination of things with that. With the mac and cheese thing, we combined an array with an object with the number and the string, which the only data type that I didn't include in there was Boolean, and I could say include include true, and then for all of those, Control C, V, 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 and I'm going to say false for that one, and then false for that one, just for fun. Okay, and total price. Okay, so I'm going to delete all of this crap. So I'm just logging the total price again. Now this kind of goes into if statements. So I'm going to if ingredient dot include. So run this function. Okay, and I'm going to put those in brackets, but you don't actually have to if it's a single line, but that's kind of irrelevant right now. Okay, and then I'm going to run the program, and now it gets that thing. Okay, so this one function has every data type that we learned today. Thank you, Sandra. As you can, this is why I really love this data type, this data structure of the array of objects, because you can have so much stuff put into the one thing, and if it's all consistent, it's fantastic. And then you don't have, if this was an array of arrays, which is called a multi dimensional array, where the first the 0th position was name, second next position was amount, next was price per unit include, I would have to iterate through those and then know exactly which one is. It's annoying. It's just obnoxious. This is my favorite. I love it. It's so fun, and I use it all the time. And you're going to see it in my code everywhere. I've been building a website, and let's see. Let's go to server functions. Let's go to count. Let's find an array of objects. Where's a function? It uses it. Oh, come on. I said it'd be everywhere. I lied. All right. Find s, where s.id is equal to id. And that's a service. Or there's another one where I do the same thing. All sorts of stuff. I could go, it's all over my code. I absolutely love it. Anyway, we are pretty much out of time. Let's use these. If you need to go, you can. If you want to stay and just discuss stuff, have questions, anything, I would like to see Alyssa and Sandra afterward, just to verify that you have npm installed properly on your computer. But if you want to go, you can. If you want to ask questions, please do so. I'm going to continue recording because I enjoy doing this. And we had some good information last week at the end of the recording when everyone left. So, and I kept recording. So, thank you everyone. I appreciate all of you. Actually, quick thing. The next week I'm going to see if we can meet in person. I'm going to post a little survey of people who would want to meet in person, who would want to meet online. I'm a sound engineer, so audio is not going to be a problem. I'm going to just set up 2 Omni mics or something like that. Anyway, that's my problem, not yours. And we'll all be able to work together in person. Did we have a set meeting place? It would, if we have a couple people, it would be in my room, which as you can see, I have my saxophone sitting there, but I have a couch. I have a comfy couch. You can also sit on the floor. And I have 4 monitors right here that I can use to my leisure. And I can use to display things, have Zoom here, have code here, do this. And that's actually what I'm doing. I have Daredevil right there, and then I have anyway. So either, well, it's probably going to be at my place, to answer your question. Yes. We did have a meeting set in place. Any other questions? Cool. Great. Fantastic. Just make sure, to double check, run npm version, and if it works, fantastic. You got it. Run npm version in the command line in PowerShell. Sandra, did you get it figured out? All right. If you want to stay and just work on stuff with me, let's do it. I'm probably going to continue working on my website after this. But yeah, Sandra, let's work on this. Everyone else, you can head out if you want. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
All right, I'm
Right,
going to
so I
stop
do-
sharing. All right, it's just us two. I'm going to stop
Nice.
recording now.